There's almost nothing better in cinema than watching a powerful superhero take on a dastardly supervillain in an epic one-on-one matchup. And no one does it better than Marvel Studios. The MCU is full of incredible matchups in every single film. But after Avengers Endgame, we lost some of our favorite heroes. Meaning we'll never get to see any rematches of some of these amazing fights. Probably gonna want some tissues for this one. Hulk vs. Thanos. At the end of Thor Ragnarok, all the remaining Asgardians boarded a ship to escape Asgard before it got completely destroyed in the battle between Hela and Surtur. Avengers Infinity War began where Ragnarok left off, with Thanos boarding the ship. Thor, the Hulk, Loki, and Heimdall were on. He wiped out most of the surviving Asgardians and also kills Loki. We were anxiously waiting to see the Hulk try to take Thanos down, but let's just say it didn't go as planned. Thanos just threw the Hulk away like he was a toy and pretty much scared the Hulk back into Bruce Banner because he didn't come out to play, even once for the rest of the movie. If it wasn't for Heimdall, who sacrificed himself to save Bruce Banner, who knows what would have happened. Iron Man vs. Captain America. Civil War was a great movie because it was essentially an Avengers movie with all the superhero appearances, but at the forefront of it was Iron Man vs. Captain America, a clash of ideals. Iron Man wanted to sign the Sokovia Accords and Captain America didn't. So naturally, that led to teams being formed in a big ol' fight. Iron Man ended up stealing Cap's shield that his father Howard Stark made for him in the 1940s. A bit of a childish move, but it did technically belong to the Starks. This all led to Tony and Steve not being bros until Endgame. Iron Man eventually gave the shield back to Steve, and they fought together and trusted each other. But now that Iron Man sacrificed himself to save the world from Thanos, and Cap is old and gray, we'll never see a rematch between two of the most popular Avengers. Thor vs. Thanos. Thor has gone through more than a few transformations over the years in the MCU. He started off brash, arrogant, and unfit to be the king of Asgard, but ended up becoming a good and honorable person with incredible powers before the whole Thanos situation happened. When he took his dad bod to the garden with his fellow Avengers, we were beyond shocked to see him take the Mad Titan's head off with one swing of Stormbreaker so early in the film. Come on, Disney, think of the children. Well, at least Thor finally aimed for the head. See, he's getting better at least. Even before Endgame, Thor and Thanos had a feud. Remember the time when Thor didn't aim for the head? Yeah, that's exactly what we're referring to. Leave the monologuing to the villains, bud. The God of Thunder gave Thanos a run for his money, and we're certain he would have taken the Mad Titan out for good if his aim was just a little bit better at the time. While they didn't really have a real physical rematch in Endgame, they definitely won't have one now that Thanos is a pile of dust. Iron Man vs. Ultron. Tony Stark is probably one of the most mistake-prone heroes in the entire MCU. It's like he's his own worst enemy most of the time. In fact, one of the toughest villains Iron Man's ever faced is one that he created himself, Ultron. Like most things in the MCU, Tony's plan to make a peaceful robot to help defend the Earth from threats didn't go as planned, and instead, he created Ultron, the most manipulative AI we've ever seen. While Avengers Age of Ultron was a good movie, it's considered one of the weaker entries in the MCU because of Ultron's on-screen portrayal. Considering the robot was a threat that required all of the Avengers, he was actually pretty easy to beat as one Tony Stark creation destroyed another in mere seconds. We were teased that Ultron would make a return when his head was shown in a warehouse in Spider-Man Homecoming, and when we learned that Avengers Endgame was named after a quote in Age of Ultron. But it never happened. We expected to see a rematch between Iron Man and Ultron, but it wasn't meant to be. With Tony Stark making the ultimate sacrifice, this Easter egg officially went nowhere, and we've most likely seen the last of both characters. Doctor Strange vs. Thanos. While we first met the Ancient One in Doctor Strange, we were taken aback by how incredibly powerful she was. Since she was a master of the mystic arts, there's reason to believe that she'd be able to take Thanos out in mere seconds, but for Doctor Strange it wouldn't be nearly as easy. In Avengers Infinity War, he's more of an expert or veteran of the mystic arts, but not quite a master of them yet, which is why he wasn't able to obliterate Thanos, but he's getting there. He went toe-to-toe with Thanos in Infinity War and may have gotten the job done if it wasn't for Peter Quill ruining everything. We thought we might have seen a rematch in Endgame, but it turns out the Sorcerer Supreme was busy doing other things once he came back from the dead. You know, like opening up portals for the dusted Avengers and entire armies to come through, holding off a tidal wave and ensuring that everything happened according to his 1 in 14,605 plan. Yeah, he had a lot on his plate, but now we're never going to see a rematch between him and Thanos. Gamora vs. Nebula. As the adopted/kidnapped children of Thanos, Gamora and Nebula have had an interesting relationship. Thanos would encourage them to fight, and Nebula would always lose to her sister. But instead of being encouraged by her daddy, she'd have her body parts replaced by robotic ones. Thanos sure is the Dad of the Year material, isn't he? Anyway, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Gamora and Nebula had an incredible fight sequence that ended up bringing them back together as sisters. It had pretty much everything you could ask for. It was like taking sibling rivalry to the next level. There were bullets and spaceship crashes, but in the end, it was their words that resonated with each other. Sadly, their newfound bond was short-lived after Gamora was yeeted off a cliff by her father Thanos. What a nice guy. Luckily, Nebula seems to have become quick friends with the past Gamora, so maybe we could see these two actually develop a bond that lasts more than a few seconds. At the end of the movie, Gamora was nowhere to be seen, while Nebula was with the Asgardians of the Galaxy, but seeing as they both seem to have switched to the good side, we don't see them having a rematch anytime soon. Captain Marvel vs. Thanos. Going into Avengers Endgame, all eyes were on Carol Danvers and what exactly Captain Marvel's role would be in the movie. Would she be the one who takes Thanos down? After all, she's the most powerful Avenger, and everyone has failed to take out the Mad Titan thus far, so it was a solid prediction, but it didn't end up happening. She was more focused on other things going on around the galaxy, but she did save Tony Stark and Nebula from dying in space, and was present for the final battle with Thanos, so we can't complain too much. But once Thor knocked Thanos' block off, we knew she wasn't going to be the one to take him out. Even in the final battle scene, we knew a snap of the fingers of someone wielding the Infinity Gauntlet would be needed to take Thanos down. So it wasn't going to be Captain Marvel. She did completely destroy Thanos' ship and fought him in hand-to-hand combat, but ended up being bested by the Mad Titan in the end. She did somehow take a headbutt from Thanos, though, so she was very impressive, even if she wasn't victorious. Hulk vs. Surtur. Hulk likes to smash. In fact, that's pretty much all he liked to do before he became Professor Hulk or Smart Hulk or whatever you want to call him. Now he's too cool to smash and he'd rather pose for pictures with fans. By the end of Thor Ragnarok, Surtur's skull is just floating around through the vacuum of space. He's not an immediate threat, but if he somehow manages to merge with the Eternal Flame, he'll be back in fighting form and will be pretty much immortal, bringing forth the Ragnarok event to Asgard. And that's exactly what happens. The Hulk likes to smash so much that he charged at Surtur at the end of Ragnarok, a being who dwarfs the Hulk and makes the Jolly Green Giant look puny in comparison. Just his sword is hundreds of times bigger than the Hulk. It's crazy. Surtur grabbed the Hulk like an annoying little fly and chucked him back towards Thor and Valkyrie. But we would have loved to see a rematch between the two, just to see how far the Hulk could actually go. We wouldn't expect him to win, but now that Bruce Banner is known as Professor Hulk, we won't be seeing these two battle it out ever again, which is honestly a real shame. Black Widow vs. Proxima Midnight. In Avengers Infinity War, we saw S.H.I.E.L.D. super spy Black Widow fight Proxima Midnight of the Black Order not once, but twice, and they were some good tussles. However, in Endgame, she won the battle to jump off a cliff against Hawkeye and sacrificed herself in order for Clint Barton to get his bare hands on the Soul Stone. Seeing as Natasha Romanoff died on Vormir, she wasn't around for the final battle against Thanos, which is being called the Battle of Earth in MCU canon, so she wasn't able to have a rematch for the 2014 version of Proxima Midnight. It's a rematch we would have loved to see, but it literally can't happen. In fact, we might never get to see Natasha Romanoff fight anyone ever again, since her death seems pretty permanent. While she's going to be getting her own solo movie, it'll most likely be a prequel, and we don't expect her to go toe-to-toe with Proxima Midnight in that one. That would be a heck of a surprising cameo, but it wouldn't really make much sense. Captain America vs. Red Skull. Captain America's arch nemesis in the comic books has always been Red Skull. Of course, he's had his fair share of bad guys to deal with over the years, but Johann Schmidt is the one who stood out the most. So we were very happy that he was the first enemy Steve Rogers ever faced in the MCU. The thing is, that's the only time we saw these two fight. Captain America has starred in 3 of his own solo movies, and all 4 Avengers films, but he only fought his most iconic foe in one of them. If you think about it, it really wouldn't have made much sense for the Red Skull to have had a large role in the Winter Soldier or Civil War, but we could still be mad over the fact that these two have only fought once. After Captain America the First Avenger, we didn't see Red Skull until his surprise appearance in Infinity War as the Guide to the Soul Stone, looking all like Emperor Palpatine. Now that Cap's super old, it's fair to say we'll never get to see that rematch after all. But we would have loved to see their interaction in Endgame when Cap had to return the Soul Stone to its proper place. That would have been pretty interesting. And those are just some of the MCU rematches we'll never get to see after Avengers Endgame. Are there any rematches we might have missed? Do you think some of these matchups may actually happen again in the future? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CDR for more MCU videos. Thanks for watching.